Hi, my name's Anitra and thanks for watching. I've been making videos since, well, I got a cancer diagnosis in October 2017 and I've been making videos for 2 years. So thanks for tuning in. I think I'm on my 90-second video or something like that. It's a lot. It's been a really great process for me to be able to share myself. Every cancer journey is unique, I think, just like every person is unique really, but it seems like when I first got a cancer diagnosis, I was like, okay, where do I go? Who do I turn to? What do I do? What do I need to know? I had a lot of answers, let's put it that way. And I've learned so much over the years. It's just crazy. I guess it's been 2.5 years. And my last video I shared about me going flat, and that's still what I'm gonna do. And I actually just recently realized how much I've been through. And a lot of people would say that to me and I'd be kind of annoyed. I don't know why I'd be annoyed, but I just would. And then I was on one of the Facebook groups and I was in, there's a couple for people going flat. They call them flatties. And there's thousands of women in there, 2,000 to 3,000, not some of the cancer groups in there, breast cancer and stuff, there's 15,000, 20,000. It's not quite that big, but there is a shift. I know a woman who had a breast augmentation and she had implants, and 10 years later, something like that, she is explanting. So there's this big movement for women who are explanting because, well, one of the reasons I think is because it's known that there's breast implant illness that can arise from implants, and a lot of women suffer with fatigue and different symptoms, and they don't exactly know why. I know somebody very personally, I won't say who, I always try to protect people, but she's had implants for a while and she also has some immune problems, and she's not able to figure out why the doctors are like, we don't know. And I just spoke to her this morning and I was like, and maybe ask your doctors, could there be breast implant illness? I'm just really aware of how much I've been through, and I feel so strongly about helping other women. I love being a resource to people in general, and I love being a resource to people in specific that are going through cancer, because it is like a whole world. There's somebody wrote a comment about getting a binder, and I got that binder. I wish I had it handy. I don't think I do, but I got the binder. It's like the cancer handbook, and it's this thick, and you're supposed to keep track of everything in it. And it's a little bit of a joke, but I actually used to have everything perfectly kept. And then I had to go through, the system wasn't good, and I had to go through and take it all out for Social Security at one point, and I never put it back in, right? I was like, oh my God, I cannot do this. But I had it all chronologically ordered, date order. I highlighted what the thing was, and I have since really lost track. I'm gonna get a density bone scan, and I was like, okay, how much radiation am I looking at? I actually found this really great radiation guide, this chart, and basically a density bone scan is pretty low, whereas CT, MRI is not on there. I guess magnetic resonance imaging, I guess that's not an exposure to radiation. So, okay, what do I know? Yeah, CT, and then the different type of CT is more of an exposure. So it recommended keeping track of the amount of exposures of radiation you've had. So if you were to do that, you would have to know how many imaging sessions, how many diagnostic appointments you had, and I have no clue. I know I've had a lot. I had 2 chest angio CTs for sure within the last year. Oh no, sorry. No, brain CTs. I actually had 2 brain CTs. That's intense. That means I had however many, what do they call that, in sieverts or something? I can't remember what the word is, whatever, who cares, but the way they measure it, CT was one of the highest. So no wonder. I mean, I actually, oh my God, I'm just putting this together right now as I'm talking, which is, I put this in my ear last night. I like to listen to things before I go to bed. I study Vedic astrology and listen to lots of things right on YouTube. And actually I had this one in, I usually put the other side in, and I got this electrical shock or impulse or something. Who knows what it is, right? I mean, I've had a headache, I've had different things. My head is good right now. I was having this really intense scalp sensitivity. It might be related. I never really put together that I had those 2 head CTs, and believe me, nobody's tracking it. There's no magic doctor that's overseeing everything and like, hey, Anitra, you want to be careful. You've already been exposed to this much radiation. I say that a little bit sarcastically or snidely because that's one of the things I've been saying for so long is like, you really have to be your own advocate because there is nobody else out there. If you're fortunate enough to have a partner or somebody in your life who comes with you to all the appointments, keeps track of things, helps you sort stuff out. I mean, that person for me right now is my EMDR therapist, and she really helps me, and she helps me see like, wow, it's a big job to try to figure stuff out on your own. Like I just learned in the fabulously flat Facebook group that when expanders or when implants come out, there's an adhesion that happens on the ribs. So scar tissue builds, which I guess is just a normal thing, maybe normal with all surgeries, I don't know, depending on how long they're in. Like, so scar tissue adheres to the rib and they can basically scrape it or peel it. And apparently peeling it is a more fun experience for the person healing and recovering after that over time. I just wrote to my plastic surgeon. I'm sure, I feel for doctors because like there's a lot of information online, and I have totally been one to, what was I gonna say? Oh dear, I lose my track of my train of thought all the time now. Not fully understand what's involved in something like, oh, by the way, it's like they go to years of school. I have a lot of respect for a doctor, any professional, anybody who's an expert in their field, because they go to school for a reason all those years. I have not gone to that school, so I might just say something like, hey, what about this? Oftentimes there's more variables to it, so I have respect for that. I get that. So anyway, I did reach out and I asked 2 questions. One is, can you peel instead of scrape, assuming that it's not a ridiculously longer surgery, because it does take longer to do the peeling than the scraping apparently. And I am so gun shy about staying under anesthesia for too long. I still feel like I've got post-operative cognitive decline because of how much anesthesia I've been under in the last year and a half. I also asked him, somebody said, like, I still have my nipples. I was given that choice, which a lot of women or most women aren't, because of where the cancer was. Well, he offered to do a lat surgery. That's where they take the latissimus muscle, tunnel it under the skin, keep the blood vessels, keep the blood supply intact. It's hunky-dory if you're lucky. But I hear and read that the rate of complication is actually pretty high. I'm not doing that. I just can't. I can't do it. I've been living with flat. Like sometimes I'll stand there and I'll like make my shirt go like this, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of flat. That's what it'll look like. Or I go like, oh, it's gonna look like my back. I'm not excited about being flat. I mean, actually, it's not true. One part of me is, and then another part of me is not. I was walking down the street the other day, and like, I have expanders, and then I also have these like little pads that kind of even them out because I have different amounts of saline in each of these. I get attention sometimes for being a woman with breasts, and I like that attention. I'll just be getting different attention or whatever. I don't really know how it's going to be because I haven't been there yet. So anyway, did I say, God, I ate cacao. I made these, fat bombs? Those are like peanut butter, cacao, coconut oil are so good. I feel a little like, somebody said that you can get get fat graft, basically, like take fat. I always like to show something. That doesn't look like a lot. I have a decent amount going on around. Look at that, that's good. That's some chunk. So take some chunk, like liposuction essentially, and then make a breast out of the fat. And apparently the fat, it dies, and like there's various things that happen. You can just like shoot it in and it's perfect. There is some percentage of death, of cell death or whatever they call that. So that is something that would happen, but I did want to know. I said, I'm happy with like mosquito bite breasts. Just something that's just like, boop, boop. It just gives like a little boop, because I did see some pictures and I heard a couple of women talk about if you're totally flat and have your nipples, it looks really weird. And I can picture that. I didn't see a picture of it, but I heard someone talking about it on one of the groups, and I'm like, yeah, you look kind of like a little boy, like a prepubescent boy, and like, who wants to look like that? But if you have like the tiniest little mosquito breast. So we'll see what he says. I don't know. I kind of wish he would have offered that in the first place, but it's a lot. They didn't offer it. And I really felt like being at Stanford would be such a, such a boon, such a privilege. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. The people are nice, there's no question, but that's definitely not number one on the priority list of what you want when you're going through this process is nice people. It's good that they're nice, but I've definitely had issues, and maybe I'll do another video just about what I think about that. I did a video that was like the 5 things I think you should know, and I still, you could search that up in my thing if you're interested. Maybe I'll do one that just talks about where I think, just some reflections basically on my experience at Stanford. Okay, thank you. Thanks so much for listening. I'm gonna go be on my call. Okay. So sometimes I share myself because I just want to share and I just need to like get it out, and I don't necessarily know what I'm gonna say, but now I just spoke to a woman and we were talking about things that we haven't, we were talking about something, and then it got to the end and she got end of our call and she got kind of teary, and she said, my brother-in-law has been dealing with brain cancer and he just decided that he didn't want to go through treatment anymore. He wants to stop treatment. And she was teary and she said her husband is having a really hard time with it. And it occurred to me to share with her that there is a part of me, you never know what choice you'll make until you get there. And so I don't know what I would actually choose, but where I'm at right now, there is a part of me that would have to strongly consider doing treatment again, because the chemo was okay and the radiation I absolutely abhorred. I hated it. It was awful. The chemo was not, it was hard, but really it's everything I've gone through since. And because my immune system is so down, well, my immune system is attacking itself, but my immune system is dysfunctional right now. My platelets are still low and we're trying to deal with that, and I'm trying to get the expanders out. But anyway, I said, even though my daughter is 11 years old and I want nothing more than to see her grow up, choose a vocation, get married, have kids, whatever she chooses for herself, I want nothing more than to be a part of that. And the thought of not living and not seeing her grow up, continue to grow up, is like absolutely painful. Having her deal with what she would need to deal with inside, no longer having a mother. And I told her I totally get his point of view, and it looks selfish. It can look all sorts of ways, but really, given the impact that treatment has had on me, it's not just treatment, it's everything that's gone with it. All of the things that have come since treatment, like having the low immune system with the platelets and all of it, and the infection has just kind of beat me up over time. Going through 6 general anesthesias in a year and a half, or 7, whatever the number is. It's taken something off my life, and I don't want my daughter to have the experience of her mother who can't play with her anymore, can't roughhouse with her because I'm going to get bruised, can't go on a walk with her because I'm too tired, can't travel somewhere with her because I need to be near a hospital. Having the experience of like not the mom that she's had for all these years. I feel it now. I feel there's a way, like I got the ovaries and tubes taken out, makes me more irritable. Really, it's like I want her, I don't want to die tomorrow, and I want her experience of her mother to be one that feels like me, where I feel like myself, where I'm playful, where we go here and there, we do this, we can travel, we can share stuff, we can laugh, we can roll around in roughhouse, we can do whatever the things are that we normally have done together for 11 years. Like, if I get to a point where I can't do that any longer, then her experience of me is not an experience of me I want her to have. I articulated it better when I was on the phone with her, but she was in tears, and she just, she said, thank you so much. That made such a huge difference for me, because right now my husband is sad and angry and pissed off and feels like his brother is being very selfish in his choice. And I really felt like I wanted to share with her that viewpoint, because I don't think you would know unless you were there how it's like someone committing suicide. Everyone always talks about how selfish that is, and at the same time, we don't really know why a person does something because we're not them. And I'm not going there to try to have a debate about suicide, but what I am saying is that I can now speak. It's Black Lives Matter, whatever it is. If you're not an African American person, you don't know what it's like to be one, no matter what. And if you haven't gone through cancer, you don't know what it's like to go through cancer. So since I've gone through that, I feel complete conviction in being able to speak about how I feel about that and another perspective. And it's not one that she thought of. So it just, for me, really underscores the importance of being able to see that there are other perspectives, and it's not that and also I said, I don't invalidate your perspective. You can be pissed off, you can be sad, be all the things that you are. It doesn't invalidate you. All it does is really show that there's something else, there's another perspective, and I totally get it. So anyway, it was really, I wanted to share that, because if that's helpful to anybody else, then great, that makes me happy. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.